I'm back again with my Whip-Up puppy training, and I have Queenie right here, and she's going to help demonstrate one strategy I use to teach a dog or a puppy not to jump. We're on week 2, lesson 2. So we've already talked about the fact that there are some contributing factors to jumping. First of all, the dog's excitable, so we want to tone down the excitement. Secondly, there's a trigger zone to at what point your puppy is thinking about jumping. You have to know that trigger zone, because for this exercise, you need to intervene at the point where they're thinking about jumping, not after they've jumped. Because you want to teach that alternate behavior to jumping so that they learn to do that before they even think about jumping. And then third, the reinforcement of them touching you, you don't want that happening. You want them to actually be reinforced for sitting to where they get the touching that way, and they also get a treat. So this is called the sit for crossed arms. Now, to teach this, the easiest way to do this is to tether your dog. And I've got Queenie, she's over there, but she's tethered. She's attached by a chain lead to my kennel. And I tell people that have puppies, get your puppies used to being tethered. Go out and buy a cheapo chain lead at Walmart, little 4-foot lead, use that to train them, because they're more likely to chew a leather lead when you have to pay for a $20 leather lead because they decided they wanted to let themselves loose. It's not a good idea. Now, you aren't going to leave them chained up or anything unsupervised, but it's a useful skill to teach your dog because, number one, it teaches them how to accept restraint. And secondly, it also is really useful if you go out and you go places and you do outdoor eating and you can take your dogs. You can tether him to the table while you're sitting there, or he's attached to the chair. And there's nothing worse than going to a restaurant and seeing somebody at a dog-friendly restaurant who attaches their dog and something happens and the dog takes off or panics because he's never been tied. So tethering is a very, very useful trait. Or something very useful to teach, and I always try to teach my puppies tethering. Now, this is the first time that Queenie's been tethered, so she's relatively new at it, but she's also new with the exercise, so you kind of see how that works. But really what you would like to do is teach them to tether first, and the way that you do that is you just simply clip them to table leg in the house while you're making dinner, tree if you're outside, you don't want to hurt the tree, or a fence or some kind of a pole. And what I do is I tether them, and then I practice walking in and out of the actual realm of the tether. In other words, right now I'm sitting somewhere, Queenie, to where I can touch her. But what I want to do, she's not going to give me any problem when she's right here and I'm right here. But if I got up and walked somewhere else, she might get excited and upset and whine and bark and things like that. So what you want to do is start out by tethering them and just sitting down, reading a book, something, get them used to just being tethered. And then secondly, you want to teach them separately how to tolerate being tethered when you're not right there. And I mean not right there, but you still visually can see them. You don't want your dog to hurt themselves when you're not watching them. I don't advocate leaving a dog chained unsupervised. But what I will do is I will tether my dog up. I'll go out maybe in the yard, I tether him up right next to where I'm gardening and I'm digging a plant bed. And of course they learn that I'm digging and then they'll do it for me. But anyways, I will do that. And what the key to that is you don't want to reinforce whining or nervous behavior. So if you start to walk away from the tether and they whine, then I ignore them. Pretty much ignore them, but I stay close, but I ignore them. Now, I wait until they don't whine a little bit or they move around less. In other words, I'm looking for one indication that they're kind of giving up a little bit or they're a little bit calmer. And when I see that, I will look over at them. I say, oh, that's a good girl. And I might walk back in, spend a minute with her, pet her, and then I'll walk back out. And I practice walking back in and walking back out. The other thing that you want to teach them is that when you approach them in a tether, is you want to teach them how to keep 4 on the floor, 4 feet on the floor as you approach them. And that teaches them how to be calm as you approach them. Once again, the excitability. You're actually teaching them how to be less excitable as you approach them, and what you're trying to do is decrease that trigger zone to the point to where you can get close enough to start teaching them the exercise that we're going to be doing next. So how do you do that? turn around, walk toward them when they're tethered. They start getting excited and jumping around or whining. What I do is I break eye contact, I turn around, and I pretend like I'm walking away and looking at something else. In the back of my mind, I've got one eye on them. And I'm waiting to see for that moment that they calm down a little bit. Then I turn around and I come back to them. And at the point where they get excited, then once again, as I turn around and walk away, then I turn back around and come back toward them. And progressively, what your dog learns is, you know what? The only way to get her to keep coming toward me is to be calm, is to keep 4 feet on the floor. And that's my criteria, are 4 feet on the floor. And also, are they not whining? Now, sometimes you can't get that far in one session, but you work this through the session so that they get used to it. So your goal is to be able to walk away and walk back and be able to get within a foot or so of them without triggering them to jump or to get really excited. And that's a good way to start teaching your dog what's called calm behavior. Now, you can do it with the clicker too, but I use just natural body signals. You know, it's called negative punishment. And I've talked about that before, is I'm taking away the reinforcer. They learn the only way to get me to come to them is to be calm. So that's tethering. So we've got them to the point, you want to get them to the point to where they're used to being on a tether and that you can approach them and get close enough to be able to actually lure them into a sit. So here's how it goes. You're going to cross your arms and do this. Now, why do we do this? This is going to be our secret signal. Why do we do this? Watch somebody when they approach a dog and a dog goes to jump on them. Or watch yourself. What's the first thing you do? Is you do this and you look at them. Okay? This is kind of guarding. People are guarding their, their body parts here. But this is what people naturally do if they're afraid of a dog or they think they're going to jump. So you are teaching this exercise not just to teach your dog not to jump on you, but on other people. So, teach them that when you approach, they're going to get a secret signal. Then as soon as you give the signal, and you don't say anything, you're going to take one hand, in the top hand of the signal, by the way, has a treat. You're going to raise it, lure them up to a sit. As soon as their butt hits, you click, or say your click word, yes, good. And then give them the treat and give them the pet and the eye contact that they wanted in the first place. Then you get up, walk away, try to get them standing again so you can repeat it quickly. Walk up to them, cross arm, lure, click, treat. So we're going to go through some of those with Queenie. I don't know how well she's going to do. She's never done it before. I can see she's getting caught in her tether. No, you can't get caught. This is why you don't leave them unsupervised, because you don't want this to happen. So there she is. She's tethered up. I've got some treats. Oh, look, Queenie, I got some really good treats. Yeah, I do. Okay, I'm going to move my chair out of the way. So you'll see, you won't see my face too much in this. You'll just see the cross, lure, click, and treat, and I'll try to talk you through it. So I'm going to walk away. Hey, Queenie. Hey, Queenie. Okay, I'm going to walk toward her. As soon as I get close, cross arm, lure. Good. Click. Good girl. Treat and pet. Just a good girl. Now I'm going to walk off to the side to try to get her to stand back up. Yes, girl. Okay. Walk away. Come back up to her. Cross. Lure. Click. Treat. Good girl. Good girl. All right. Okay. Going to come back over here, try to get her standing. Walk away this way. Come up. Cross. Lure. Treat. Good girl. Okay. Let's try that again. Hey, Queen. She wants to stay sitting. Good girl. Let's get her standing. Okay, good girl. Okay. Come up to her. Cross. Be very, very concrete. Click, treat. With your cross. You want to make it really obvious to the dog. So I'm going to walk over from this way. Hey, girl. Hey, girl. Let's see if we can get you to stand this way. Okay, good girl. Okay. So, okay. Cross, lure, clicked a little late there. Treat, good girl, and pet. Make that eye contact. You're a good girl. Okay, get back up. Okay, now right here. Okay, cross, lure, click, treat. Good girl. Good girl. Okay, I take a step over here. Queenie, come on. Good girl. Okay. Cross, lure. Good girl. Now come on. Cross, lure. Good. She was at the end of her tether, so it was kind of hard. So let's bring her back over here. Okay, Queenie. Cross, lure, click, treat. Good girl. Okay, do it again. Okay, Queenie. Queenie. Cross, lure, click, treat. Can you tell that she's getting it? She's really starting to get it here. Okay, come on, Queenie. Now, normally I'd be walking away and walking back. I'm just staying right here for the video. Okay, Queenie. Cross, lure, click. And she's a little bit hesitant here because she's at the end of her tether. Come on, Queenie. Okay, good girl. Okay, right here. Queenie. Cross, lure, click, treat. Good girl. Oh, right. Good girl. Okay. Come on. Okay. Queenie. Cross, lure, click, treat. Now, with really advanced dogs, good girl, they'll start actually anticipating this. Queenie. Cross, lure, click, treat. And you'll see that a lot of them, as you get along with this, and you've done several of them. Okay, come on. Queenie. Cross, lure. Is they'll actually start sitting the minute they start seeing you do this. They won't even wait for the lure. And when you've gotten to that point, that's a good time to stop. But with her, she hasn't quite gotten there. But we're going to try to end. Queenie. Cross, lure. She's not doing it. So I take she's not working with me on this, so I take my eye contact away. I ignore her for a second. Queenie. Okay. Queenie. Cross, lure. Good girl. Okay, so you can see she's gaming it. She's waiting to see if she can get the food. Oh, she can get the food. Oh, without doing the sit. But you just keep working. Queenie. Cross, lure, good, click, and treat. So I'm going to stop there with her. Good girl. Because we've gotten to the point where she's luring fairly consistently, and she's starting to do it. Now, where do we go from here with this? Where we go is that you will get to the point where when you approach the dog and you start to do this, their butt's hitting the ground really fast. And they already know that that's what they're supposed to be doing. So what you built in is a secret signal. So at that point, you quit luring. You cross, click, treat. Cross, click, treat. Practice walking away and walking up, walking away and walking up. So you start out by doing it that way. And that's the first step to teaching the sit for crossed arms. Now the next step is actually moving forward and working with having them approach other people or practicing it off lead, so that they're not tethered and it's not quite as controlled. And we'll practice that in our next lesson. I'll try to get these puppies to the point where they're doing that, and then also maybe I'll bring in the older dogs to kind of show you what it looks like. And then last of all, you start having other people do it. And it's very simple to translate this to other people. Is you just tell somebody, hey, if you just cross your arms, she'll sit for you, and then you can pet her. So that's a really nice way. It doesn't require somebody else to be a trainer, because what you can do is you can give them the treat. You don't have to have somebody else do it. But they've learned the secret signal is a signal to sit, and that works very well. And we will see you next time.